The first thing his mother noticed was my purse. Not my smile, not the way I touched her feet with respect, just the old, faded purse hanging from my shoulder. Her eyes paused there for a second too long, and in that moment, something inside me tightened. I told myself it didn't matter. I was there for love. But standing in that living room, surrounded by polite smiles and quiet judgments, I had a sudden, heavy thought. What if love is not enough for this family? I met him when life was simple. No big plans, no luxury dreams. Just two people talking for hours, sharing chai, laughing over small things. He liked that I was simple. That was his word. "You're not materialistic," he once said, smiling. "I like that about you." I never corrected him. The truth was, I had money. Not flashy money, not show-off money, but stability. Savings my father had quietly built for me. A small property in my name, enough to live without fear. But I chose silence. I wanted to know one thing. Would they love me if they thought I had nothing? His family was comfortable. Big house, heavy furniture, walls full of framed achievements. Everything looked solid, permanent. From the first visit, I felt it, the invisible scale. His sister asked where I worked, his aunt asked what my father did, his mother asked about my background. I answered honestly, but carefully. Simple job, middle-class life, no extra details. Their smiles stayed polite, but colder. I noticed how conversations changed when money came up, how respect followed income, how silence followed simplicity. Still, I stayed calm because I believed something deeply then. If love is real, it will protect me. I didn't know yet. I was about to learn the cost of pretending to be poor in a world that worships wealth. After that first visit, things moved quickly. Phone calls became daily, plans were made, dates were fixed. Everyone said I was lucky. "You're marrying into a good family," people told me. "They're well settled." I smiled and nodded. But inside, I felt something I couldn't name yet. Life before marriage talks. My own life had always been quiet. I lived simply even though I didn't have to. My father had raised me that way. "Money should give you peace," he used to say, "not pride." So I dressed modestly. I never talked about savings. I never spoke about property. Not because I was hiding, but because I didn't want money to speak for me. His family's questions changed. As wedding talks became serious, their tone changed. At first, it was small things. "So, your parents won't be able to help much, right?" his mother asked once, stirring her tea slowly. I smiled politely. "We live simply," I said. She nodded, but her eyes held calculation, not kindness. Then came the comparisons. His cousin's wedding was discussed often. How much gold was given, how grand the function was, how respectable the girl's family looked. I listened quietly. Nobody asked what kind of wife I would be, only what I would bring. Subtle insults wrapped in politeness. His sister once laughed lightly and said, "You're so lucky you're marrying into our family. Your life will really improve." The room laughed. I forced a smile, but something broke softly inside me. Was I being chosen or rescued? Talking to him. That night, I asked him carefully. "Do they think I'm less?" I whispered. He sighed. "They're just traditional," he said. "Don't take it personally." I wanted to believe him. Love makes you excuse things you shouldn't. So I stayed quiet. I stayed small. I stayed simple. During one meeting, his uncle said openly, "Marriage needs balance. If one side gives less, the other feels burdened." The words hung in the air. No one corrected him, even not my fiancé. That silence told me more than any insult ever could. That night, I lay awake staring at the ceiling. I thought about the documents locked in my drawer, the savings account, the house papers. One sentence echoed in my head. If they knew the truth, would they treat me differently? And that scared me more than their disrespect. The engagement was planned quickly. Too quickly. His family said it was better not to wait. Simple function, they said. Only close relatives. I agreed. Simple had always been enough for me. But simple means different things to different people. The day of the engagement. I reached their house early, wearing a soft pastel outfit. Nothing heavy, nothing flashy. I looked at myself in the mirror and reminded myself, you are here for love, not display. The living room was already full. Women dressed in silk, gold shining under bright lights, laughter loud and confident. I felt small, but I stood straight. Whispers that cut quietly. As I walked past, I heard them. "Her family is very simple," one aunt whispered. "Yes, but the boys' side is strong," another replied. They didn't lower their voices enough. I pretended not to hear, but every word landed inside me. The ritual moment. When it was time to exchange gifts, my heart started beating faster. My mother had packed what she could. Simple sweets, a modest tray wrapped with care. His mother accepted it politely. Too politely. She looked at the tray, then smiled thinly and said, "Oh, this is it?" The room went silent. I wanted the floor to open and swallow me whole. No one defended me. I waited. For him, for my fiancé, but he stayed quiet. He adjusted his watch, cleared his throat, looked away. That moment hurt more than the words. The comment that changed everything. Later, while serving tea, his sister said casually, "You must be so relieved. After marriage, you won't have to worry about money anymore." Everyone laughed. I froze. Not because of shame, but because of clarity. They didn't see me as a partner. They saw me as a liability. Inner realization begins. That night, I sat alone on the bed, removing my bangles slowly. Each clink sounded heavier than the last. I thought about how carefully I had hidden my reality, how I had reduced myself to be loved. And a painful question rose in my heart. If love requires me to disappear, is it really love? The turning thought. I realized something important then. They weren't cruel because I was poor. They were cruel because they believed power comes from money, and they thought I had none. After the engagement, everything changed. Not loudly, not suddenly, but slowly, like air leaving a room. Marriage talks began. The wedding discussions started within days. Dates, guest lists, arrangements, and then expenses. His mother spoke gently, but her words were sharp. "Weddings are expensive," she said. "We don't want imbalance later." I understood what she meant. She wanted assurance. Not of love, but of money. Hints that felt like demands. No one directly asked for anything. They didn't have to. Gold prices are high these days. People talk if functions look small. Our relatives have expectations. Every sentence carried weight. and every time my fiancé stayed silent. The cost of staying quiet. I began questioning myself. Am I being too sensitive? Is this normal? Should I speak up? But then I remembered his smile when we were alone, his promises, his words about simplicity. So I chose peace over confrontation. I chose silence. How I started shrinking. I stopped giving opinions. I nodded more. I laughed less. I wore simpler clothes than before. I avoided discussions. I lowered my voice. I thought if I made myself smaller, there would be less friction. But respect doesn't grow in silence. It disappears. A private moment of pain. One evening, his mother said something quietly while passing me tea. After marriage, you must adjust. Our standards are different. I smiled politely. But later, alone in the bathroom, I looked at myself in the mirror and whispered, when did I become something that needs adjusting? Loneliness inside a relationship. I had never felt so alone, even though I was surrounded by people. My fiancé was physically there, but emotionally absent. When I tried to talk, he said, let's not create drama. Drama? That word hurt. My dignity was being called trauma. The thought that changed me. That night, I opened my drawer. I took out the documents I had hidden for so long, the papers my father trusted me with, the proof of my independence. I didn't feel proud. I felt sad. Because I realized something painful. If I revealed the truth now, it won't earn respect. It will confirm their greed. A quiet decision. I placed the papers back carefully. I wasn't ready to reveal anything. Not yet. But inside me, a quiet shift happened. I stopped trying to be chosen and started watching. Closely. The breaking point didn't come during an argument. It came during tea. A small moment. Ordinary. The kind that changes everything. The comment that crossed the line. We were sitting together, his parents, a few relatives, and me. The conversation drifted to wedding arrangements again. His aunt laughed lightly and said, well, at least expectations are clear. We know we can't expect much from her side. The cup in my hand trembled slightly. No one corrected her. Not his mother, not his sister, not him. Silence agreed with her. Something finally broke. I smiled. I always smiled, but inside, something snapped quietly. Not anger, not tears, clarity. I suddenly saw the truth clearly, without emotion blurring it. They weren't misunderstanding me. They weren't confused. They were comfortable disrespecting me. Seeing him clearly. I looked at my fiancé across the room. He avoided my eyes. In that moment, I realized something painful, but honest. He wasn't choosing peace. He was choosing comfort. And comfort meant siding with power, not fairness. The ride home. On the way back, the car was silent. Streetlights passed like slow thoughts. Finally, I spoke. Do you think I deserve this? I asked quietly. He sighed. Please don't start, he said. This is just how families talk. That was it. That sentence closed a door inside me. The loneliest night. I replayed every moment, every comment, every silence. I realized I had been bending myself into a shape that fit them, and still it wasn't enough. Because when someone benefits from your smallness, they don't want you to grow. A memory of my father. I remembered my father's voice. Never make yourself less to be loved, he used to say. People who truly value you don't ask for that. I hadn't listened then, but I was listening now. The quiet awakening. I went to my drawer again. This time I didn't open it to look at the papers. I opened it to remind myself I had choices. I had strength. I had dignity. And I didn't need to prove anything to anyone who couldn't see my worth without a price tag. A silent promise to myself. I made a promise that night. I would stop explaining, stop shrinking, stop apologizing for existing. I wouldn't expose the truth yet, but I would no longer betray myself. After that night, I changed. Not on the outside, but inside, something settled firmly. I stopped waiting to be understood. Silence with awareness. I still attended family meetings, still smiled politely, still listened. But now, I was observing, not absorbing. I noticed how respect shifted when money was mentioned, how decisions were made without asking me, how I was spoken about, not spoken to. And for the first time, it didn't confuse me. It confirmed everything. Detaching without fighting. I didn't argue. I didn't defend myself. Because arguing with people who only hear money is like explaining color to the blind. Instead, I protected my energy. I spoke less. I reacted slower. I chose calm. Setting small boundaries. When wedding plans came up again, I said quietly, I'm comfortable with something simple. His mother looked surprised. But people will talk, she said. I smiled gently. They always do. That was the first time I didn't bend. His confusion. My fiancé noticed the change. You've been very distant, he said one evening. I nodded. I've been very clear, I replied. He didn't understand the difference. Preparing for any outcome. At home, I reviewed my documents again, not with fear, but with clarity. I spoke to my mother, to one trusted friend. I didn't complain. I explained, and saying the truth out loud made me stronger. A realization about marriage. I asked myself a hard question. Do I want to marry into a family where my worth depends on what I bring, not who I am? The answer didn't come with tears. It came with peace. The calm before the storm. I sensed something coming. The pressure was building. The expectations were increasing. And I knew soon I wouldn't need to pretend anymore. Not because I wanted to shock them, but because I was done hiding. The day everything changed did not begin loudly. It began with a phone call. The invitation. His mother called me early that morning. We're meeting the wedding planner today, she said. Please come prepared. We need clarity. Clarity, I smiled to myself. Walking in calm. I dressed simply, not carefully, not modestly, just myself. When I entered the room, conversations slowed, not because I looked different, but because I looked unafraid. The conversation turns. The planner spoke about venues, guests, and costs. Then his uncle leaned forward. We should be realistic, he said, glancing at me. Some people have limits. The room grew quiet. all eyes turned toward me. My voice, steady. I didn't rush. I didn't react. I agree, I said softly. Limits are important. They looked surprised. The moment of shift. I continued, calmly. My limit is marrying into a family where love is measured by money. Silence followed. Not the awkward kind, the honest kind. Documents on the table. I placed a thin folder in front of me. I never spoke about my finances because I believed love should come first, I said. But now, clarity is necessary. I slid the folder toward the planner. Bank letters. Property documents. Nothing dramatic, just truth. Faces change. No gasps, no shouting, just blinking eyes, straightened backs, and suddenly, respect. Not for who I was, but for what I had. The hardest line. I looked at my fiancé. I said gently, "You knew. You just didn't ask." He opened his mouth, closed it again. No victory speech. I stood. "I won't marry under conditions," I said. "Not financial, not emotional." Then I added quietly, "And I won't stay where I had to shrink to belong." Walking away whole. I left the room without tears, without drama, without checking who followed, because for the first time, I wasn't leaving in loss. I was leaving in truth. After that day, life became quieter. Not easier, just clearer. The days that followed. There were no angry calls, no public explanations, only space. And for the first time in months, that space felt like relief. Letting go without hatred. I didn't block anyone. I didn't need to. Some doors close when you stop knocking. His message. Weeks later, he sent one message. "I wish I had been braver." I read it twice. Then I put my phone down. What I learned. Love should never require disguise. If someone only respects you after seeing your worth on paper, they never saw you at all. Grace without return. I wished him well. Silently. Not because he deserved forgiveness, but because I deserved peace. Today, I live simply. Not because I must, but because I choose meaning over display. Pretending to be less doesn't reveal love. It reveals character. And truth always arrives when we stop hiding. I didn't lose a marriage. I gained myself. If this emotional story touched your heart, please like, comment, and subscribe for more calm, real-life stories of love, truth, and dignity.